Hey, sister friends, welcome back to the Sisters Unbothered podcast. I am your host and founder of the Unbothered Resistance International, Nikki Cates, and this space is for women who lead, serve, and carry vision, especially those of us that are living between healing and wholeness and still dealing with exhaustion and burnout in everyday life. If you've been listening for a while, you may have noticed it's been quiet since the beginning of January 2026. And I want to name that right away, not as an apology, but as an offering of my truth. Because if you've been listening, you know that I try to be as transparent as possible with you all. Earlier not this month, because oh my gosh, we are in February, y'all. Earlier this year, I went on a technology fast, and it was spiritually led. I needed space. I needed silence. I needed to step out of the cycle of constant output and ask myself a deeper question. Am I creating from purpose or am I performing for the masses? Because we may start out one way and we may end up another. And so I had to take some time. I had to take some time to pause so I could recalibrate and make sure that I was literally leading from a place in my heart and my spirit and not from the demands of life and circumstances. I had to get back to my why, back to God, back to my integrity, and back to listening to my body. Because I believe I told y'all this. My number one goal this year, on top of everything else, is healing my traumatized nervous system. So listening to my body is key. Because what I refuse to do in this season is build in the same ways that burnt me out in the last one. This podcast, like my work, my leadership, and my faith, is no longer about consistency for the sake of being visible. I am no longer looking for validation, y'all. And for that, I pat myself on the back because it's been quite a journey getting away from that. Now it's about alignment. It's about offering what is true, timely, and rooted, not rushed. So here's what this season will look like. We'll be releasing 2 episodes a month, every other week. Not because I have less to say, we know that's not the case, but because I'm committed to saying what it matters without exhausting myself or you. This is a slower, more intentional rhythm, one that honors sustainability, depth, and discernment. So, today's episode is actually the audio from yesterday's Unmasking the Hustle presentation. I was speaking to a room of women entrepreneurs, specifically women of color. And it was a conversation about calling, burnout, faith, and the lies that grind culture has taught us to spiritualize. I wanted to share it here because it captures exactly where I am and where I believe many of us are right now. So wherever you're listening, my sister, driving, resting, walking, or just trying to catch your breath, I'm glad you're here. Let's get into it. Somebody tell me what hustle is.
What?
Hustle.
Hustle.
What I got?
I got hustle.
What is it?
Spirit.
It's a spirit?
Yeah.
Oh, anyone else?
I feel like a hustle is something that they created to keep us in a certain unbalanced lifestyle. They don't, I don't like the word hustle.
I love that you said that.
I don't like the word.
The key word that I like that you said was created, because it was created. What we're going to talk about today is that a lot of this stuff that we've been conditioned to perceive and believe about ourselves and how we show up professionally and personally is not necessarily a personal failure. It is definitely systemic. And I'm so happy that all of us are women of color in here, so I can keep it real. But first, I'm going to say this to you, and you tell me what you think about it. If exhaustion is the cost of success, then the system is broken, not you. What are we thinking?
Yes.
Y'all with me?
Yeah, with you.
All right. So I am Nikki Cates. She introduced me as Coach Nikki. I am Coach Nikki if you look me up on Google. However, I've been trying to pull away from the coaching aspect. However, it looks like God's going to keep throwing me into those spaces. So I'm still Coach Nikki. Today we're going to be talking about reclaiming alignment as opposed to hustle. What we just talked about, hustle is a systemic creation to keep us in our place and to make us cogs in the wheel. I know that sounds very Angela Davis of me, but I am very much like an Angela Davis type. They say it's always the light skins. So that's what I'm told. All right, so what we said here earlier, hustle is not a strategy. It is learned. Tell me something. You go into business or you go into your professional workplace. Do you perceive someone as lazy, or are you perceived as lazy when you don't hustle and grind? Thoughts? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or unmotivated.
Okay. So first of all, I want to acknowledge y'all that we are brilliant, we are transformative, and we are gifted. So I want to remind y'all that we are not here to fix y'all today, okay? I know sometimes people think if you're a coach or you're a therapist and you're speaking in a room, you're trying to fix people. That is not what we're doing today. I am here not to empower you, because I can't empower you. You can only empower yourself. I can lead you to the water. I can't make you drink. But today, my hope is that you will walk out of here understanding that you can show up authentically. I think I was just talking to somebody about that. You can show up authentically and still get the job done, and without exhausting yourself in the process. Many of us are successful on paper. I know there's probably several of y'all in here that are doing the doggone thing, Miss Bianca. However, are you exhausted behind the scenes? Have you been burned out? She and I have had this conversation. We know burnout. For the last few years, I have literally went so hard from January to October that I literally was unable to do anything for November, December. Complete crash. I know about cycles of burnout. But why? Why do we do that to ourselves? Is that necessary in order for us to be successful in any type of way? You don't think so? I want you to pay attention right here. Hustle is often rooted in survival patterns, not clarity.
That's true.
Tell me what that means to somebody when you see survival patterns.
It makes you think like when you're in fight or flight, right? When you're like, I need to make this happen. It just makes you work harder, but then because you're working harder doesn't mean that you're going to see immediate results. So you end up burning out into like the hustle of like.
Yes, absolutely. Anyone else?
Survival patterns also stem from generation before you. Because what you've seen or what you've been adapted to is kind of what you follow through until you learn something different.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So in this room currently, we have representation for our African American women. We have our Latinas. And I don't think we have any AAPI. You AAPI? Okay. Just making sure. I am half. Half Filipina. Asian, yes. Or Indian. Girl, come on now.
I know the acronym.
All right. I think I got us off topic just a minute. But what we were talking about was survival patterns. And what do I mean by survival patterns? What I mean by that is you feel like you don't have any other choice but to fall in line with what everyone else is doing. I know as an entrepreneur, it's like, I know when I first got started years ago, I'll sleep later. So there are no boundaries, especially, I had 4 daughters, y'all. Okay, 4, bickering all the time. Listen, but I had 0 boundaries. So they were accustomed to me saying at 11 o'clock at night when I'm still trying to work for clients, this is just a part of the process, it's a part of the game. But then we still put all of that in without setting those boundaries, and we find ourselves still trying to survive, right? Statistically speaking, women of color absolutely and most definitely are still behind when it comes to everyone else, unfortunately. And that's a fact. But exhaustion, typically, when we talk about burnout, it's defined in a way where it's more so a personal lack of discipline as opposed to a systemic matter that needs to be addressed. When you recognize that it is a systemic matter, then you begin to have more clarity. But as you can see here, it shows up disguised as dedication, excellence, and ambition. These are things that we are told we need to do in order to be the best. Productivity equals self-worth. Is that not how it's supposed to be? Are we not based off of how we show up, our performance? And burnout as a badge. Yes. Ooh, you tired? Oh, but you over there getting it done, girl. You working, you a boss, and you over here crying in the corner because you just can't even think straight. Right? Burnout as a badge. That makes you better than other entrepreneurs because you are burnt out and working harder. Wrong. I have some statistics for y'all. Nearly 1 in 2 women report feeling burned out at work, which means if you look next to you or to the person on the other side, they are probably burnt out or have been. Women leaders are more likely than men to report burnout due to emotional labor and lack of support. How many of y'all have a strong support system? Okay. Do you feel like, did you have something to say?
I'm sorry,
That's okay.
But I wanted to say something on that last point you
Go ahead.
made about women being more burnt out. And I think it's because what I'm realizing now is that the work culture was created by men who have different cycles, hormonal cycles. They reset daily, we reset monthly. So we're trying to do how they do because they set the standard. And we wake up every day at 5 a.m. and blow us up like women are not like built the same. Our bodies are not built the same, and we, so I think that's also part of the.
Absolutely. I agree, but let's also throw in, again, that systemic part of it, where women are expected to have all of their labor extracted from them, regardless of that monthly reset or that different cycle, where our hormones are different, our bodies are different, and so forth. They build upon that, and it just puts us in a space where, how do we go against the system? How do we resist and still get the coins, make the bag, make a difference in the world? I know you had something to say.
So also about the burnout in women is that because of how we're existing, women are more likely developing more autoimmune diseases.
Yes.
Because of this burnout, like hustle mentality, because we're not meant to be working that hard. Like our bodies are meant to be relaxed, not the cortisol levels are literally developing into autoimmune.
You're right. I have 2 friends in that position right now that have found out in the last couple of years that they have autoimmune, and it was literally because of stress. So my number 1 goal this year is to heal my traumatized nervous system, because I have been living with high cortisol levels my whole adult life. So you are absolutely correct on that. So we are in agreement that survival patterns are rational responses to unstable systems. Why are they unstable? Because it was built that way, especially for us. Okay, as long as we're in agreement about that one. So what do they quietly train us to do, y'all? Because what it really does is it puts us in a space where this is just how it is. This is just what I got to do. I got to be committed. I got to be a team player, right? Overcommitting, people-pleasing, avoiding rest. What is rest to y'all? Is it a bubble bath with your feet up?
It's not.
We were
just talking about that.
I wouldn't have to keep sleeping as much as I do. Like, I realize that sometimes I think, oh, I gotta sleep because I gotta rest. And sleep is rest, but if you don't have peace of mind, you're not resting.
Yeah, you don't go into the deep sleep realm.
That's right. So I did start tracking my sleep and my energy levels with an app. So now I have to wear my watch to bed, which I hadn't used to. But you're right. The more stressed you are, you do not go into those deeper levels and healing levels of sleep, right? So what we want to think about is, what are we doing that we're doing literally from survival mode? If we know hustle was created to keep us in our place and keep us active hamster wheels in the cog of the machine, right? We have to start recognizing what these patterns look like. Because if you don't see them, you can't address them. You can't resist against them and do things differently. So that's why we are talking about alignment over hustle.
Alignment. What does that mean to somebody? Somebody tell me what alignment is.
Connected to your values. Oh, you were
Well, what are your values? What does that mean?
I would say it's something that's natural.
Okay. Tell me more.
Like, alignment to me means that, like, it doesn't require much effort from me. Like, it just came to me. It sounds like woo-woo, but really, sometimes that's how it happens. Like, that's when I find, like, when it's, like, easy and it's, like, I'm not really trying to do something. It just came into my atmosphere. That's what I consider alignment.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else? So you're absolutely, oh, go ahead.
For me, alignment means that things are balanced in all the areas you need them to be balanced. And then that's when I would feel aligned. Like if my social cup is filled, my emotional cup, my intelligent cup, they're like all filled and I feel connected, like in a humanistic way of selecting, and I feel aligned. And sometimes and sometimes of course you might need to do one thing more than the other, but then eventually you can reset. And then when that reset happens, then you realign. Because it's almost like continuous. Like alignment doesn't last that long in this day and moment. You work towards alignment by checking in, reflecting.
Thank you for that, because I was getting ready to say, that sounds like perfection, the way you described it. All of the cups are full. How many of us actually have all the cups full at one time? Let me tell y'all now, remember, we're not here to fix. Let's also remember we are not created to be perfect, okay? I don't know your belief systems. Right now, I'm gonna just say, I think only one human being came into this world to be perfect, and it was not us. So my sisters, I am encouraging you to accept that there will be flaws, that sometimes certain cups will not be full, and they will probably not align all at one time. The stars will not align perfectly for you, okay? But that doesn't mean to aspire to it. And remember, when we say balance, it's called, I got a good example. Work-life balance. I can't stand that term. Because is there work-life balance?
No.
Whatever hustle. Exactly. Thank you. Exactly. Work-life alignment. Does that make more sense? Kinda, sorta, maybe. No? It still sounds like work?
So like the work that you do aligns with the person you are and the life that you're living?
Yeah, and that goes back to kind of what Bianca said when she said that it's more natural to you. You don't have to work as hard. Do y'all know how much harder it is to be somebody else than to be yourself? Okay, so be authentic. Hustle creates noise. Alignment creates clarity. Clarity gives you peace. Ooh, did I just see Rachel Rogers? We should all be millionaires.
Yes, we should.
All right, so anyway, we were talking about visions, value, knowing your capacity. Knowing your capacity. I'm going to say it again. Knowing your capacity. My capacity may not be your capacity. My values don't sure are not going to be your values. We may have the same value. Does anyone else have a value of faith? My value of faith may not look like her value of faith. And no one's right or wrong. For instance, one of my top primary values is freedom. But someone else might be stability. I have coached people, their core value is stability. One is not right or wrong. But what does it resonate to you? Be authentic to that, okay? That's when things become clearer, when you start to align with those sorts of things. Making better decisions with more peace. When you have clarity, peace comes. Because now all of that noise quiets. And you begin to have the silence that is needed in order to make better decisions. Not based on all of this, but based on right here, y'all. Bring it home. Sustainable leadership also starts here. And how many of y'all in here are leaders? I need every hand to go up. Because everyone is a leader, even if it's not in an official capacity, okay? Yes, Mama, you too. You showing up, yeah, I'm telling you, be leader. So, how do we find alignment? I'm going to tell you now, it requires practice. It requires implementation. It requires doing something. But this, I'm not talking about y'all physically going somewhere and doing something. I'm saying sit down somewhere, take several seats, ma'am, and give yourself the time to think about this stuff, okay? Because what we need to do is we need to do an audit. What am I doing that's only because someone else is expecting me to do it, and it's not really what serves me in this season? Earlier, I said that free labor is no longer in my business model. For a season, it served its purpose. But in this season, it does not. So that means that I have to sit down and take an audit of where I am still offering that. Because people will continue to extract. Right? Checkpoints. Are you taking time daily to give yourself time to pause? I'm an advocate for grounding first thing in the morning. For me, that works. Why? Because it allows me to set the tone of the day, whatever that looks like for you. Sometimes I've had women that are like, I don't have even 5 minutes. Make 5 minutes. We prioritize everyone else's needs over our own, right? Mm-hmm. And then resetting, allowing yourself the opportunity to reset. When you change your perspective, it's a lot easier to set those boundaries. And I know we don't like that word, boundaries. But we need them. Me too. Thank you, baby. We need them. So, when you're auditing, what is it that, if you were to sit down tomorrow morning and apply some of this, figuring out where you're not in alignment and where you're actually moving with the hustle and the grind, what would you be auditing?
My friends, my inner circle.
Your community, yes.
Where my time is spent.
What about your energy levels? Let me remind y'all, 1, we set boundaries for ourselves, not for others. When you set them to try to control people, that is manipulation. When you set them to protect yourself, your time, your energy, your peace, that is you doing the real work, okay? That is alignment. Also, time cannot be you can't get time back, right? You also can't get your energy back, right? What we have is what we have till we leave this world. So I want y'all to remember that your energy and your time are valuable, and they are not one and the same. How many of y'all work out? Do you fit that in at the peak time of where your energy at its peak in order to do that? Or do you just fit it in wherever you can fit it? Both? What about creations? Writing, creating content, anything like that? No? I have to do it during green energy times for me. Because if not, I'm dragging. But understanding what needs to be done during my peak energy times and what can be done when my energy is dwindling. These are...
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
What I'm hearing from you is that we have to create some consciousness and awareness on where we have this energy, when we have this energy. So I don't think I've ever thought about that. When do I have the energy? And I am aware of like, oh, I feel low right now. I feel down or I feel high. But I think I like that you're saying we have to audit this. So create some awareness on making a checkpoint like, oh, this is my low time after lunch or before lunch or whatever. So thank you.
Absolutely, because for me personally, as early as however early I get up, I used to get up 4:30 in the morning, right? Because I had to get up and write for 2 hours. I was writing a book. Now I get up at like 7 o'clock, right? But even still, my energy is at its peak when I get up. And by the time you get to about 1 o'clock, I'm starting to go into the yellow zone. And then you get into the evening, I might hit a small bump around 5, 6, and then after that I'm done. Like when I have to take evening classes, my camera's off and I'm barely there, okay? So I have to understand that about myself. And so then I have to incorporate the things that can be done during the low time as opposed to things that need to be done. So I have to prioritize my faith time because that's my top core value. I have to prioritize anything that has to be done for the family because that's another core value. I have to prioritize anything related to freedom, whether that's financially, whether that's time-wise, business, whatever that may be, that has to be prioritized for that day. So it really is understanding what your values are, where you need to focus your time and energy, and that can be for yourself or your business. And then also doing that from a perspective of understanding when your peak time to get it done, not just time as a construct, right? Not just time blocking, but energy. Align your energy levels with your time blocking so that you're maximizing your energy. Does that make sense? And I know you had your hand up. Did you want to say something still?
I was gonna ask, whenever I guess the insight that I was thinking was, I guess there's a difference between like when your peak energy for when you, I guess you could put in work versus like when you feel more energized, because I feel like those are different.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
Yeah, because they feel different.
Well, your body has, again, we are so conditioned on paying attention to everyone else and not paying attention to ourselves. But if you pay attention, you'll start to see a pattern. Your body naturally has a certain rhythm. I know people where they'll peak, then they'll come back down and peak again. I don't flow like that. I'm pretty much like this. But that's me. I understand how I operate. And so I'm saying for you, you would have to just pay attention to that and see what's the difference too. Not because you had coffee or an energy drink. That's not genuinely your body saying, okay, this is our peak time to get things done. Then again, I'm ex-military, so we had to do a lot in the morning anyway. So maybe I was conditioned into it, I don't know. But yeah, I understand that about myself. I would encourage you all to also begin to understand that as well. Any questions on that? Okay. So, unmasked framework. Apparently someone else in the room has an unmasked framework as well. So this came to me last year. I made a commitment at the beginning of the year that all of my gifts and talents and skills were going towards women of color only. And in the process of thinking that through and figuring out how to show up best and helping us, I came to the unmasked framework because what I realized is, y'all, we have a lot of unlearning to do because we have been conditioned to fall in line. Women of color more so than anyone else. Okay? We already know that this is a man's world, right? Yeah. And most of our industries are dominated by men, particularly white men, right? So where do we fit in that? We have to assimilate, right? Is not assimilating exhausting?
Yes.
So it's easy to say, show up authentically and as yourself, but is it really that easy to do so? Small changes, y'all, small alignment. First of all, recognizing so that you can deconstruct what you've been taught, unlearning it. Like, for instance, hustle. Hustle is not the best way if I want sustainability. I can't keep going like that. Going hard is all get out all year and then crashing at the end of the year. Can't. It's not sustainable if you want to have long term, right? So that unlearning has to be key for us in order to shift into alignment.
Thank you so much for listening. Again, this was a part of the Boss Collective's annual Boss Moves event in 2026. I encourage you to find the Boss Collective on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, or just by Googling them and getting to their website and becoming a part of the community. When I tell you the community matters so much and how we move in this world, and you can't get very far without each other, y'all. Too many of us have been isolating. So I encourage you to look up the Boss Collective. And as we close, I want to leave you with this reminder. You are not behind. You are not lazy. And you are not failing because you're tired, not smart enough, not good enough, or just can't do it. You are responding to systems that taught you to confuse faith with fatigue. And today's conversation is an invitation to stop agreeing with that lie and all of the rest of the lies that keep us in a space of taking personal responsibility for something that has been pushed upon us by a society. If this episode met you, stirred something, or gave language to what you've been carrying, I want to stay connected with you beyond this point, if we're not already connected. You can join my weekly email community, The Unbothered Collective, that will only go out on Monday mornings, weekly. It's where I share reflections, unlearning practices, and leadership truth-telling for women of color and our allies and accomplices who are done performing and ready to lead from alignment. You can find the link in the show notes or visit nikkicates.carrd.co. And if you're listening as a leader, organizer, or decision maker, someone planning a retreat, a team gathering, or a leadership moment, and you're thinking, this is the conversation that our people need, I would love to explore that with you. I am currently open to facilitating spaces focused on burnout, cultural repair, and faith-rooted leadership that doesn't cost people the totality of their lives in the name of meeting the mission or making the money. You can reach out directly or make a warm introduction. Those are always welcome. Thank you for listening. Thank you for choosing depth over just the noise, and we'll be back in 2 weeks with more truth, more clarity, and more room to breathe. Until then, my sisters, stay unbothered and stay rooted.